Do you ever stop and wonder why we all feel so restless today? Why no matter how much caffeine we have or how many different supplements we take, something inside us still feels off? Well, I think I found the answer, and it's been sitting right there in the very first chapter of the Bible all along. And once you see it, you'll never look at health the same way again. Genesis says God made us from the dust of the ground, the dirt, the dust. This stuff that I'm standing on right now, meaning the same minerals in the soil is also in us. And when I think about that, it actually blows my mind. And here's the thing, when we touch the earth with our bare skin, whether it's feet in the grass, toes in the sand, or your hands on a tree, it's like we're reconnecting to our source. I think that's why grounding feels so good. And it's great to hear that it's not woo-woo like some people think. It's actually biology and it's biblical. Also, every time we eat real foods like fruits, some vegetables, meat from healthy animals, and water that's actually from a spring with minerals, it's like our body says, yes, this is what we need. Is it just me? Or do you feel it too? But here's the kicker. Back then, food wasn't convenient. You had to move for it. You couldn't go to your fridge. You had to actually walk to the tree and pick fruit yourself. If you wanted meat, you had to hunt for it, stalk it, sprint. You had to be precise and mentally calculated. And then if you got something, you had to lift that heavy animal and carry it back. Back then, movement wasn't a workout. It wasn't something you did in an air-conditioned gym. Movement was survival. And I'll circle back to why that matters later. In Genesis 1, it repeats the same line over and over and over. It says, there was evening and then there was morning. And that wasn't just poetic. That was God laying down the very first circadian rhythm, the rhythm that we were designed to live in. We were made to rise with the sun, to eat, move, work, sweat. And then when the sun went down and it got dark, that's when we rest. But fast forward to today. Bright artificial lights are everywhere all night long. Fake, zero nutrition food everywhere at everyone's disposal. Constant stress and mental stimulation because we're all trying to keep up with the Joneses. And then we wonder why our bodies feel so broken, so exhausted. It's because we're living out of sync with our design. And that's the answer to the question that I opened this with. This is why we feel so restless all the time. Because we left the rhythm that we were made for. I want to tell you something personal. I went through a season of life, most of it, where I was grinding like crazy. I ate fast food, pretty much nothing but fast food. And I stayed up late. I drank alcohol. I partied. I watched TV all night long and scrolled my phone in bed. And I was just living on fumes. I was burning the candle at both ends, as they say. And my body felt wrecked. That's actually what led me to live the lifestyle that I live now and why I started sharing so much of this on YouTube. I started doing simple things and almost immediately felt better. So I had to share it. And the simple things included getting sunlight first thing in the morning, taking my shoes off and walking around the yard barefoot, eating organic whole foods as often as I could, intentionally moving every day. And that didn't mean an hour in the gym. That meant if I couldn't get to the gym, doing 10 push-ups every hour, just breaking it up and moving with intent. And when it got dark, I turned my phone off, I turned my screens off, and I actually went to bed. And when my body woke up the next day, it started to remember what it was made for. And that's when I realized all these things that I talk about daily, like cold plunging, sauna, biohacking, they're not just these new trendy modern hacks. They're just a way of getting back to Eden, allowing our minds and our bodies to reconnect to what we were made for, the environments we were meant to live in, constantly adapting and constantly optimizing. And listen, part of that shift for me was also realizing that I had to stop guessing and I had to start figuring out what was actually happening inside my body. Because what we see physically in the mirror and what's actually going on inside our bodies can tell two totally different stories. Mine did. And for me, that's where Joy and Blokes came in. And every quarter, I do my labs with them. I get a full blood panel done. Hormones, thyroid, cortisol, just to name a few. All the stuff that actually runs our system. I now know every quarter exactly what my numbers are. And it's been over 2 years now that I've been working with them, and I plan on continuing to work with them for the rest of my life. I'll never forget the first time that I reviewed my results with them. The results sucked, but it actually gave me peace. My testosterone levels were under 300. I was pre-diabetic, had Hashimoto's, and was in liver failure. Yeah, that sucked. But it gave me some peace at least knowing, because I had no idea. And it all made sense. And the cool thing is, they didn't just like tell me to start taking a bunch of shots and supplements. They actually guided me through how to make things better and do it naturally. They supported the lifestyle choices that I was making. It made sense. And the cool thing is they gave me strategic advice to actually do something about it. And a lot of the stuff they were advising me on was natural and free. And imagine if everybody had that kind of clarity. Like if you knew exactly right now what your numbers were so you could actually make educated decisions on how to optimize your life and your health. Well, the good news is you do. There's actually a link on screen right now. It'll give you 50% off your first lab panel with Joy and Blokes. And this is for men and women. And they changed my life, and that's why I continue to recommend them. For me, this was the big aha moment in my life, and it made such a difference in my life and my wife's life, which in turn made a difference in my kids' life and my friends' and family's life. And heck, it took me 35 years to figure it out, so don't wait as long as I did. And if you have, don't wait any longer. So remember how I said food wasn't convenient in Eden? That meant movement wasn't optional. If you wanted to eat, you had to move. And that's why exercise today feels so right. It's not punishment, it's us living out our design. It's us actually using the bodies that we've been given. And as my friend Eric Hinman says, movement is medicine. And it really is. And here's something interesting I noticed. When God talks about the promised land, he actually refers to it as the land of flowing milk and honey. Why milk? Why honey? Hold on to that thought, we'll come right back to it. Now let's be real. Most people today sit most of the day. We eat food that's more chemical than creation. We stare at screens all day and mostly all night. And then we wonder why we're anxious, inflamed, exhausted, and always on edge. We've done this to ourselves. Convenience is killing us. But the closer we live to our design, the better we feel. That's why biohacking practices work so well, and so many, including myself, swear by them. They're not fads. They're ancient patterns. Back to the milk and honey thing. Those were signs of abundance and blessing. God's design isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving and flourishing. Real food, rhythms that restore, and movement that energizes. That's what we were made for. Sounds great, right? But how do we do this practically? How do we live this out daily? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's your daily guide to actually get started feeling better right now. This is what I do. Wake up and get outside immediately. Bare feet on the earth. Now, city people, if you don't have a lot of ground, then you can just put 2 hands on a tree. It really does the same thing. And when I was in New York over summer with my family, that's what we did. Don't fear the sun. What works well for me is every morning I get morning sunlight, at least 5 minutes. I try to go for 10 while I'm grounded. So I get my bare feet on the ground in the morning sunlight in my eyes, on my face, and on my skin. Don't fear the sun. Respect it. It's also important to do this before 10 a.m. because the sun can get more intense after 10 a.m. Skip the processed food altogether, but especially skip it in the morning. Start your day with something real, even if it's just water, milk, and fruit. Practical, easy, and you can take it on the go. Avoid the breakfast pastries and even hold off on your coffee for an hour after waking if you can. I understand that's like cussing at somebody, but just try it. Just see what happens. What I like to do first thing in the morning, and most people do too, is jump into a cold plunge before you have your morning coffee. When you cold plunge in the morning or jump into a cold body of water if you can, it'll make you feel alive. And this can legit replace your morning coffee. If you work somewhere, take sun breaks. You know, people are allowed to have smoke breaks. Why can't you have a sun break? 10 minutes with your bare feet on the ground, getting a little bit of that sun and air, and I would recommend don't bring your phone. If the morning's been hectic, do some box breathing. That's 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, 4 second hold. Do 10 rounds of that. It resets your nervous system. I love doing box breathing. When it comes to eating, eat with intention. Most of the time, you're not hungry, you're just bored. Only eat when you know it's gonna fuel your body. Skip the junk and pack your own foods. Foods that you know are gonna fuel your energy. I've realized there's 2 types of food. Food that tastes good but steals my energy, and food that's, you know, some of it tastes pretty good and gives me energy. Realize which food gives you energy and eat more of that. Hydrate the right way. Water isn't hydration. Most of the water you drink on a daily basis probably isn't hydrating you at all. It's just a vessel, just a fluid. So I'd recommend drinking a spring water. I know there's a lot of controversy around this, but I drink a lot of Mountain Valley water, and you can even add electrolytes to your water like Relight. I have a link down in the description below. I love Relight. My family drinks probably too much Relight, but it's a great electrolyte you can add to any water. Know your numbers. Hormones, thyroid, cortisol. Don't guess. Get your labs done. Use Joy and Blokes. I have a link and a discount code below. Use them. And at night, turn the lights off or turn them all red. If you get the chance, watch the sunset. It's amazing what that does for your circadian rhythm. Bonus points for nighttime grounding and stargazing. And if you have access to it, jump into a sauna and cold plunge, do some contrast therapy. You'll have the best night's sleep of your life. And my final tip is take your phone and put it 30 feet away from you. Go put it in another room if you can. You don't need your phone at night. We're not that important. So there it is. Getting back to the garden isn't about being perfect. And it shouldn't cost you a bunch of money on special gadgets, unless that's your thing. It's just simply about living closer to God's design. Dust and grounding, evening and morning rhythms, movement, sunlight, real food, and rest. Do that and your body will thank you. Your nervous system will thank you, and you'll feel alive in a way that you probably haven't felt in years. Remember, we weren't made for chaos. We were made for Eden. And the closer we live to that, the more abundant life feels. If you have any questions, pop them down below. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, my friends, and God bless.